Hello, Lisa.
Hello, Sue. How are you?
Well, I'm pretty good today, thank you. And always good to be talking about all things poetry.
Okay, so here's the interview. I've got 11 questions for you today, so it shouldn't be too bad.
Okay, all right then. I will do my best. Thanks, Lisa.
Okay, question one. How long did it take you to write your first book?
The poems didn't take that long to write. Over about a year for the first book. The editing took a lot longer. Well, no, it didn't take a lot longer. It felt like the editing took a long time. Because once you've written all the poems and you've decided what you want to put in the book, you want to get it out there and you want to share it after you've convinced yourself that somebody else might actually be interested in reading it, and sharing the words. And a lot of the words came easily in the first book. So it never felt like work, certainly. And that's really how I wanted the poetry to be. It's much more of a pastime for me and a creative outlet. After retiring from work, when I worked for myself, when I didn't have much time for creativity. So I was
You went to a creative writing group, didn't you? Or was it strictly poetry or was it all creative writing?
It was poetry, and it was at the National Holocaust Centre. And it was poetry, writing about things that we could see in the museum or in the grounds of the museum. And also the facilitator brought along photographs and artifacts that were in the museum. So it was what was stimulated from that. And there are a couple of poems, certainly based on that experience and those workshops. And then I actually joined a writing group led by the facilitator, actually. I've continued to attend those, not necessarily regularly, but when I can.
When you feel like it.
Well, it is when you feel like it. Yeah, I do. I don't want it to feel like a chore. I want to feel that I'm enjoying it. And it ran all the way through lockdown on Zoom. So it's brilliant. I think Zoom's been a boost to so many people.
Has, yeah.
Certainly helped IT education, I think, on a certain age group.
So the second question was, what inspired you to write the book? Well, I'm guessing that was all the artifacts and...
Well, the first book, really, it's about celebrating life and appreciation and gratitude. And I was in a group which were doing a gratitude challenge. And a lot of the poems sort of were sparked by prompts that we had on a daily or weekly basis by that group. And it just sparks a little idea. Anything can spark a poem. That's the thing. I mean, there is a poem, I can't remember which book, one of the three, that was written around eating an orange. And
that's my favourite poem, actually.
I like that one.
I prayed an orange after I read it. Yeah.
It can be anywhere, literally, the inspiration for a poem. And it's literally plucking it and putting it down on the page. Otherwise, somebody else might get that idea. The muse might take it somewhere else, and you don't want that.
Someone else might have an orange.
Yes.
Do you write anything other than poetry, or is it just poetry?
It does tend to be just poetry, yes. I like the succinctness of poetry. Writing a novel hasn't occurred to me as yet, or even short stories hasn't occurred to me. I see a poem as an absolutely short story. You really have to evaporate everything that's superfluous, and you end up with a few lines, maybe even a couple of pages of words that tell the story from the start to the finish.
Mm.
And in a poem, generally you don't do all the description of characters and things. And I think you rely much more on the reader's imagination, or in this case, the listener, their imagination, as if you were not able to see or read the descriptions of characters or people who were in the story. And I think it revs up the imagination even more somehow. And so many people do ask me, oh, what was the inspiration for that? And why did you write that? And what did you mean by that? And I just love to turn the question straight round. And I said, well, have you
How
read
did it
it?
make you feel? Yeah.
How do you feel? And how many times have you read it? And have you read it in the morning, in the evening, when you're sad, when you're happy? And all of those things, I think, influence how you read a poem in your heart. And that's really where I'm at.
Yeah.
I'm much heart-led poetry rather than head.
The next question is, are you writing or have you written another book? Now, we know you've written 2 others. Is there a 4th one in the pipeline?
Possibly. Life has sort of taken over a little bit, and I've not had as much time to write. But when the inspiration does come, I do try to sit down and write it down. Sometimes it's hard at 3:00 in the morning to find a pen and a paper. But I think there will be another book, but I'm not putting any time scale on it because I cannot write under pressure.
No.
It has to arrive, and I'm not one who overworks my work. As you know, when we're going through that editing process, I know I sort of fight back sometimes, don't I? But it's I think in its initial form, it should be reasonably true to that when it's final page. It's not like a novel where you can take out whole chapters and stuff. You might amend a word or amend a bit of punctuation in a poem, or rejig the lines, or at worst take out a whole verse. But I think the poem, for whatever reason, came as it was in its original format, and it's really more a case of trying to write it on a page how I would like people to be able to read it, so that I'm sharing as much of the original feeling and emotions through that medium.
Yeah, I suppose it becomes less of a poem, less flow the more you work it.
Yes. Yeah.
It's no longer your poem, I suppose. It's someone else's.
It changes, I think. If you muck about with it, it can change the whole meaning and the accents, I think. So it's not because I don't want to work on them. It's just I don't sometimes feel that working through them and rewriting and rejigging them all the time is beneficial to me as the initial writer, but also to the reader to get the best I feel out of it.
I suppose if it's written in the moment, when you're trying to edit it, it's a different moment, so it has a different feel.
It is, and I'm coming at it, and even as we will start to read through the books, I'm 2 or 3 years on now from where we were, or 4 years on from the first book, and it would be quite different for me because I've been through whatever I've been through in the last few years, and coming at it at a different time and space.
Yeah. What is your favourite book of all time?
My favourite book? Oh, golly. Oh, you should have asked me this one in advance. I actually like, it's a bit weird, the original Grimm's fairy tales, because they're not nice stories, really. They have real meaning. And the other one would probably be Aesop's Fables, where there is a message
Mm.
And it's not always hidden. It's sometimes very clear what the message is that the author is trying to get through to you. So I'd
Mm.
probably go with those two, if I can have two.
Yeah, of course you can. What's one piece of advice you would give to someone writing their own book?
Just get on and write it. Don't think like I did for several months. Nobody would want to read it. Nobody wants to read it. It's no good. Just don't do the imposter syndrome stuff. If the book is coming to you, then write it down and then share it. Don't keep it to yourself. It's a gift from the universe and it's being gifted to you in whatever format to share. And whatever experience you're able to put into it on a personal basis, that will just adorn it and embellish it as much as possible.
Yeah, totally agree. What is your greatest accomplishment? Accomplishment?
My greatest accomplishment, I think, actually getting book one written, published in my hand and selling a copy. That was just an unreal feeling, and you cannot replicate that because you can't replicate your first kiss or your first boyfriend or your first pet, your first sunrise. You can't replicate the firsts. So I would say in the book sort of era of my life, it's the first book, and actually having that, and I think I cried.
Oh,
happy tears, but that's what I do. I do happy tears. I'm an emotional.
what's your favourite food?
My favourite food would, I think, be Thai. I cook quite a lot myself. I love Thai food. It sits very well with my dietary requirements. And I also really enjoy going out to eat Thai food. I don't think I'll travel to Thailand. It's not out of the question, but I don't think I'll get that far. But you never know, to actually have genuine Thai food. But I had some amazing Malaysian food on a trip out there, and it has lots of similarities with regard to spicing and ingredients.
Mm,
So I'd go for Thai.
lovely. What is your favourite type of music?
Oh, I have quite an eclectic taste in music, but it would have to be a ballad, a good ballad, and maybe a power ballad. And I do love female vocalists, and so that would probably. And of all time, I would go with Karen Carpenter.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
Excellent. Last question, you'll be pleased to hear. Where is your favourite place to be?
my favourite place to be. I was raised at the seaside and did all my schooling at a seaside town. And I now live in Nottinghamshire, which is not as far from the sea as you are, but it's quite a long way to get to the sea. So I have to say, whenever I have the opportunity to put my toes into the sea, wherever that might be, especially at a sunrise or a sunset, if the sand is warm, that's lovely. But just watching the waves lapping on the shore, that's my ultimate meditation state, I think.
I'm exactly the same. Totally agree
Good.
with you. Well, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.